Guys, it does not get any more clear than this. You've got to be... Oh, come on. Look at this. Guys, we've got to talk about something really quick. I'm going to make this as fast as I possibly can, but when I saw this when I was at freaking work, I lost my mind, because this is outrageous. This stuff honestly just pisses me off. It makes me mad. Like mad. Adam Aron, such a G. Obviously I love Adam Aron, but the blatant criminal injustice that is happening with hedge funds and AMC stock is absurd. It's absurd. It makes no sense. Check this out. Adam Aron says, earlier today, AMC rescheduled our annual meeting of shareholders to July 29th. Among other reasons, we did so to give our millions of current, and he said millions of current individual shareholders more time to let their voices be heard and cast their ballots on important shareholder matters. And then Chua says, good question, did he say millions of shareholders? And he responds with, yes, indeed, that is right. AMC now has over 3 million individual shareholders, AMC's army. Now, let's just think about this for a second. So based on the most recent information that we have, I'm going to use these as data sources, right? This is coming from FinTel. Maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower. 52.6 million institutional shares, right? Insider shares. I know that Adam Aron owns 3 million shares, so I added that into the equation, and I'm assuming some of these numbers are outdated as well, but that comes out to about 34 million shares. Ortex, how many shorts exist, right? 96 million shares, short interest. So I took worst case scenario, right? The total shares outstanding on AMC stock. I've done all this math, right? You've got 417 million total shares free float. That's what's supposed to be available to the retail investor, but obviously these numbers don't add up in the least bit. Then you've got 450 million shares outstanding. We're going to use this 450 million shares outstanding. We're just going to roll with it, right? We're going to take the worst case scenario here. So if insiders own about 34 million shares, institutions own, or toots, 52 million shares, shorts supposedly have about 97 million, and I didn't even take in the equation, right, the shares that are on loan, because that's 146 million. So this number is probably even freaking higher than this. If I took that number, like I said, worst case scenario, 97 million, but I'm taking the shares on loan, 146 million, right? Let's just come back into this. 97 million total shorts. They're out on the market right now. So if you add this up, 34 million plus 52 million is 86 million. Add that with 97 million, you've got 183 million total shares, not including the retail investor. Okay, so now let's just take the worst case scenario here. 3 million individual retail investors, right? If every single one of them, if it averaged out equally amongst everybody on the freaking market right now, only held 100 shares, that would be 300 million shares, which if you add up to 267 million is 567 million. And to be frank, to be blunt, I think they're actually more. I think the average retail investor is holding more than 100 shares. That's $1,000 average. I think that if you add up all the freaking whale retail investors out there, it is going to add some asterisks, right? It's going to make some outliers. It's going to raise that average number up. I'm being conservative, guys. I think 200 and 300 is very realistic, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's even higher than that for the average retail investor when you take the mean between everybody, right? If you took 200 shares per one investor out of 3 million, that would be 600 million shares, 900 million if you had 300 shares per individual retail investor. You know what this comes out to? 567 million total shares circulating in the market, 867 or 1.17 billion. 3 times higher than what is supposed to be circulating free float. Can you imagine what this does to the share price? Can you imagine that? I've shown this a million times. Supply and demand, right? You shift supply to the left. This is supply. This is demand. You've got a lower overall demand. That's just as simple as it is. The stock price is bullshit. It's absolute crap. It's not being represented in the right way. It's just freaking not. I mean, how can you? We've been saying this forever, guys. We've been saying this for who knows how freaking long, that there's blatant hedge fund meddling happening with the stock right now, that they're trying anything that they can to keep this thing down. All the IOUs, all the FTDs, all the blatant naked shorting, the ladder attacks, all this sort of stuff. Just do the math. Do the math. I mean, this is just public information to anybody. Based on what we know about the free float, we know about the shares outstanding, we know about how much is owned by institutions, by insiders, which, by the way, I think these numbers aren't even correct. I think they're probably higher than that, just based on the fact that I know Adam Aron holds more than 770,000 shares, right? This is absurd. This is just clear as day. This is clear as day that they are creating shares out of freaking thin air. Holy freaking crap, guys. I mean, I had to tweet this out just because of how stupid this is. This is stupid. This is why the DTCC, the NSCC, right, the SEC, all these different, regulations, these regulatory bodies that watch the stock market are finally stepping in, because they probably wouldn't have said a freaking thing. They wouldn't have said a thing because hedge funds have always made money. They've always stole from the retail investor. They've always manipulated the stock market in any freaking way that they can, but now they're being busted down on. I tweeted this out. Honestly, I'm so incredibly pissed off. It is absolutely mind-blowing that this kind of blatant criminal theft has taken place in the market for decades, and everybody just overlooks it. I can't wait to tell my kids about the Planet of the Apes. And if I was to go back in time to retweet this, I would have said the Market of the Apes, but that's not important. Regardless, though, these guys are making shares out of freaking thin air. They are. They just are, right? Think back to the time, if you're an old enough investor, I'm too young to know anything about this, but shares used to be written out on paper. All transactions used to be written on paper. It's so easy to manipulate and create things that don't exist. I mean, it's like the idea of just this alone. Citadel, right? They manage transactions through the OTC market, right? They've got vested interests. They play derivatives. They play short stock on AMC, right? Yet they manage transactions. So can you imagine what they're doing with those? How many of us hold actual shares? Probably almost nobody. I mean, it's no coincidence that countries overseas from the United States right now are having a hard time getting transactions filled, buys filled, right? Because shares don't exist. I mean, the freaking short button hasn't existed on Webull since January. It's been hard to borrow stock since January. I mean, where are they coming up with this stuff? Where are they making the shares? They're freaking just ripping them out of the ground. It's like if you've got 10 carrots and you've got to feed your dogs, right? And you give them 10 carrots, but you give them, on top of that, 30 plastic carrots. What good does that do them? They can't eat that. They can't eat something that's not real. What are we going to do with fake shares? I mean, this doesn't come back to us. I mean, we did nothing wrong. We held up our end of the deal. We gave our transaction, just like the dog gives its love and does what it's supposed to do. But the freaking owners, the people that create these shares and are supposed to handle the transactions, are just committing fraudulence. I mean, this is criminal activity. It just straight up is. Like, I think about this. Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, right? He was held accountable by the SEC. He was told, you as a broker did a lot of things wrong, and you are going to face the actions that are, necessary, essentially. And I think you're going to see some hedge funds out there that not only get liquidated, not only get margin called, that have to pay us up, but are going to face freaking criminal charges, because this is absurd. This is ridiculous. I mean, do the math. Worst case scenario. The absolute worst case scenario. If apes hold an average of 100 shares apiece, $1,000 worth of AMC, 567 million shares. That's 1.5 times what's supposed to be, maybe not that much, 1.2, 1.3 times what's supposed to be circulating in the market. That's worst case scenario, guys. I mean, this is freaking mind-blowing stuff. So what's the point of this video? Why am I saying this, right? No matter how long this battle is, no matter how many people say this is a freaking dead cat, and I get the comments every single video. I know who you people are, and I don't give a shit. This is not a dead cat. I will not stop talking about AMC until this game is freaking done. And game over for me is the apes take the freaking planet. We win. We win this freaking fight. I just don't see any possible way they can dig themselves out of this hole, especially with the freaking SEC, the NSCC, the DTCC, all paying attention and all making these different filings and rulings, all the different congressional hearings that are taking place now. Everything is just freaking lining up. I don't see any possible way they can dig themselves out of this hole. And you know who has to pay for it? Not us. We get paid. They pay. They're milking every last drop of blood out of their freaking bodies until this is done. That's what I've got for the video. Whew, man. Catch you guys on the next one. I'm gonna make one more video talking about the technicals on the day, and then I'm gonna get into some other stuff. But I just wanted to put that out there. Much love. Peace out, Gorilla Gang. Catch you soon.